You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
This is your NXT report for Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018. We are just coming off NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. This week's show was pretty much just a recap show of NXT TakeOver. If you want to find out what we thought of TakeOver, you can head over to AngryMarks.com. Check out Thursday Night AMP, which was recorded yesterday on October 23rd. Myself, Stevie J, Jason Harlan, and Will Huckabee talked for close to 90 minutes about NXT TakeOver and SummerSlam, and the follow-up with that is this week's show. It opens up with a musical montage recapping TakeOver. There were only 2 matches shown on this week. These were the dark matches that were recorded prior to the TakeOver event. One of them is pretty good, one of them is kind of forgettable. Everything else on this show is just a recap, so this is going to be a pretty short review. Maybe instead of talking about the recaps, I'm just going to sit and talk about my day and how my cats are and how it's 800 degrees in this room. I digress. We open up this week's show with Bianca Belair taking on the debuting Deonna Purrazzo. She was in the Mae Young Classic last year, and Bianca Belair is coming back from her injury/honeymoon. The announcers say that Bianca was out with a quote-unquote medical issue, but didn't say what, because kayfabe, brother. Deonna does a headstand head scissor escape like Ultimo Dragon used to do. They start trading some side headlocks. Bianca comes back with a couple flips and a big drop kick. Bianca hits a tilt-a-whirl gutbuster. She then applies a full Nelson camel clutch, and Bianca continues to work over the back. The announcers are talking about the vast experience difference, and Deonna makes a brief comeback, hits a bicycle kick. Deonna is wearing a ring jacket that on the back of her ring jacket it says Fujiwara Armbar Specialist. So that's her go-to submission hold. She tries to apply this on Bianca. Bianca posts her. She puts her up in the torture rack and kind of slams her down with a reverse AA for the win. Again, pretty, nothing to this match. Maybe 4 minutes. Our first video recap is Velveteen Dream in EC3. Dream is interviewed with Kathy Kelly backstage, and he basically plugs the NXT show, and she asks him, what are your plans going forward? And Dream says, tune in Wednesday at 8 Eastern to find out. The interview geek who's interviewing EC3 is sporting a nice shiner. He puts over Dream, saying it's not over. The dork interviewer asks if he knows anything about Aleister Black's attack last week, and EC3 starts to throw Lars Sullivan under the bus. We're going to get a recap of that in just a minute. Another recap of the Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain. Recap of Ricochet winning the North American Championship. We see Ricochet being interviewed, and the interviewer just says, what are your thoughts? Ricochet said it's been 15 years, blah, blah, blah. Undisputed Era come in. They're about to start some trouble. Pete Dunne breaks it up. He's just wearing a dope suit, and so he looks like an absolute star. Strong and O'Reilly cower away in fear. Ricochet thanks him. Pete Dunne says, I didn't do it for you, and I'm not your mate. And I don't like those guys, and you have a title that I want. So somewhere down the road, we're going to see Ricochet and Pete Dunne. Spoiler alert, that match did take place at the upcoming TV tapings. If you do want the full TV tapings for the next 4 episodes, or they are posted in the August 23rd daily news update on AngryMarks.com. We get blurry security footage of Aleister Black's attack. Apparently, they don't have HD cameras outside Full Sail University. The camera zooms into someone standing on the rooftop, observing the whole incident, and Morrow believes it's Nikki Cross, so we're going to see her back pretty soon. We get a profile piece on Zach Gibson. He was the winner of the NXT European Tournament, and he will be challenging Pete Dunne later on in the show. Another video recap of Kairi Sane. We got probably about 22 minutes straight of recaps here. Recap of Shayna Baszler winning the women's title. Interview with her saying that Shayna lost, Kairi didn't win. Video recap of Gargano and Ciampa. A recap of the main roster, just doing a whole bunch of New York stuff, meeting all the fans. We get a promo for NXT UK coming soon. Like they don't have enough first run shows. They have to make another brand. Although if they were to hold each taping in the same venue, I think the fans in the UK are ravenous, and you could build sort of like an ECW type following. But for every ECW arena, you get an Impact Zone. A recap of Matt Riddle signing with NXT. Announcement next week, Undisputed Era taking on the tag team of Ricochet and Pete Dunne. And the only other match on this show is for the WWE UK Championship, Zach Gibson challenging Pete Dunne. Done with a really nice ovation here. Gibson starts working over the left arm pretty early. We get a crawler across the bottom of the screen pushing the NXT War Games. Is coming up November 17th. That's Survivor Series weekend in LA. No War Games storyline yet. I'm assuming we're going to have a Disputed Era, possibly, on opposite sides with War Machine. We could throw Ricochet, Adam Cole. Lots of time to build that. I'm not going to go through everything in this match. This was a pretty good match. Gibson attempted to reverse a superplex, and because he'd been working on Dunne's left arm, setting up for what's called the Shankly Gates? I'm not sure. It's his sort of double wrist lock while in a camel clutch position. So he throws that submission on. Dunne reaches the ropes by biting them. Gibson nails Dunne with a wicked lariat, and then he picks up Dunne's mouthguard that was previously knocked out, and Gibson is examining it. He's looking at it aimlessly. He's just staring off into space while holding this dirty, disgusting, slobbery mouthguard. Gibson was about to throw the mouthpiece into the crowd, but Dunne, who has recovered, intercepts it and does the finger break spot. The crowd goes nuts. Dunne hits the bitter end, gets the win. Don't know how long this match went, probably about 12 minutes or so. They rush to close the show and fade away. No follow-up on this episode. There's no follow-up with the Aleister Black injury storyline. Just a couple of news and notes from the NXT UK tapings coming up. Now this is according to WrestlingInc.com, so I'll just read this verbatim. As noted, the first ever WWE NXT UK Women's Champion will be crowned during the NXT TV tapings at the Insomnia Festival in Birmingham, England on Saturday and Sunday. Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, Ginny, Isla Dawn, Killer Kelly, and Xia Brookside are all announced for that event. WWE has announced that the champion will be crowned with a 2-day tournament with the finals taking place on Sunday. So by the time you hear this event will have already taped and be in the can, ready to be put on WWE Network. They've also announced 2 more competitors, Millie McKenzie and Nina Samuels, for a total of 9 participants as of this writing. This will be the second set of NXT UK TV tapings for the WWE Network series that is expected to begin airing later this year. I think they said probably around December or so. Pete Dunne's also scheduled to defend the UK Championship on that night. WWE has also announced a tag team match for the Saturday tapings. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate versus Mark Coffey and Wolfgang. As noted, Dunne is set to defend his title at the Sunday taping, so it looks like there'll be a number 1 contenders match on Saturday to determine his challenger. That's all for this week. Like I said, this is a nothing show. You can catch the highlights probably of the Gibson-Dunne match. Other than that, don't go out of your way to watch the show, and we'll be back next week. Thanks a lot. Good night.